Okay, so as people come into the meeting, we're going to continue to hear the ding dong noise. So we're just going to work through that. And I'm not sure what that magical noise was. So you have joined us today for the presentation on the 2020 California PBIS Community Cares Recognition System. And these webinars are being hosted on a regular basis by the California PBIS Coalition in a series. And today's series is actually brought to you by some of the core members of the CPC. And Luke, can you advance the slide one for me? Thanks. So this is the mission of the CPC, or the California PBIS Coalition. And really we exist to build the capacity of stakeholders in implementing PBIS with fidelity. And we follow the National PBIS Blueprint for professional development, implementation, and evaluation. We want to say an especially big thank you to Stephanie Tague from Santa Clara County Office of Ed. It was her vision to put on these webinars. So it's a special thank you to her. Oh, thank you. And there's her special thank you. So we are going to be recording the presentation today, so if you'd rather not see your face or have your video pop up, you can turn your video off. And we do ask that you keep your microphone on mute and that we only have the presenters unmuted. If you would like to ask a question or have a comment, please use the chat feature. We'll be monitoring that as we go along today. So here's who is on the call today. We've got Luke Anderson from Placer, Josh Harrower, who is faculty at Cal State University Monterey Bay. Myself, I'm Ginny Joseph, and I am from Orange County Department of Ed. And then two of our friends from Desert Mountain SELPA are on the call, Cami Murphy and Natalie Sedano. Thank you. Okay, and these are our expectations for today. And as you move through the Community Cares Recognition System, be responsible, be respectful, and be awesome. All of the CPC team members are doing this on a volunteer basis. And we ask that you just be respectful of that. And if you have feedback or comments, please do so kindly and using professional communication. Be responsible in your submission of your responses to the recognition system this year, and just make sure that everything is accurate. And most importantly, be awesome. Celebrate your work, celebrate the work of others, and help us to be inspired by each other in the work of our PBIS community. If you don't know, the CPC does have a Twitter account at PBIS_CA, and please feel free to tweet out using the hashtag PBISCA about today's webinar or any other wonderful work you're doing with your PBIS implementation at your schools and districts and organizations. We have a save the date here. As far as we know, we are still having our annual conference this year. It will be again in Sacramento at the Hyatt, and the dates are September 21st through the 23rd. Okay, so let's move forward. Our objectives today, we want to provide you with an update on the 2020 California PBIS Recognition System. About a month or so ago, we gave a webinar on what the recognition system was going to be, and that has all changed with our new normal that we're living in. And we're going to review the rationale for why we decided to change that. We'll give you an overview of the Community Cares application. We're going to share some examples of submissions that we've already received, and then there will be a time at the end to answer any questions you may have. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Josh Harrower.
Thanks, Ginny. I am going to share a little bit about the California PBIS Coalition for those who aren't familiar. For those who are on our original attempt at a webinar the first time around, you may have seen some of these slides, so I apologize if they're a little redundant. But for those of you who may not have been on that call or are new to the CPC, as we call it, just wanted to share some information about us and who we are. We were formed in 2012. We're supported by the PBIS National Technical Assistance Center, now directed by Dr. Kent McIntosh, with continued support from Dr. Horner in his emeritus / retirement status. We're dedicated to providing a standard of practice for PBIS, working through regional technical assistance centers, largely located at county offices of education across the state. We are seeking to establish with all of you a professional learning community that really seeks to support the systematic implementation of evidence-based behavioral supports, emphasizing the use of implementation science and tools for rolling out the implementation of these reform efforts. And on the next slide, we have a few more things about us. Working to establish a network of education leaders. And I mentioned the regional technical assistance centers, but really focusing on what are the critical features of PBIS at each tier, seeking to develop a common scope and sequence for training and technical assistance and support, district and site team training and coaching, and really looking to develop the capacity of not only the districts, but our county offices to in turn provide support and professional development for districts and schools in implementing PBIS. And then lastly here, you can see our goal for today is included, which is to provide a state PBIS recognition process. So you all know about the state of California and that we're very large. And you can kind of see the scope of what we're dealing with when we're looking to take PBIS to scale across the state. And so the way that we've kind of envisioned our role as supporting PBIS efforts across the state is to really focus our work around supporting and developing the capacity of our county offices, particularly through the successful regions with county leads that then provide support to fellow neighboring counties, and in turn the counties provide support and training to our districts to support our over 6 million students in over 10,000 schools. Our traditional recognition process, as you can see, and for those of you who have done it before, remember, has 4 recognition categories from bronze to platinum. You can see the medals that we've provided, that we planned to provide this year up until everything changed. And you can see the numbers of schools that have been recognized across the years. We've had a significant level of growth in 4 years, almost tripling in number of schools recognized. And we've been really excited to see the interest and excitement from schools in participating in this process with us. But of course, as you know, and probably why you're here, everything changed. So let's go on to the next slide to talk a little bit about that. Hopefully you've been able to look over the letter that our recognition committee posted on the California PBIS Coalition website, but these are just some excerpts that kind of highlight the process that we went through as a committee with the CPC in trying to respond to the school closures across the state. So as you know, for those of you who have participated in the past, the traditional recognition system requires that an external evaluator come to campus. They conduct the tiered fidelity inventory, which involves interviewing students and staff and observing classroom settings, doing a walkthrough. None of that became possible once the schools closed. And we obviously did not feel that schools that didn't have a chance to have done their TFI before then, or were planning to do their TFI later in the spring, as many schools do across the country actually, that they should be left out of that process. We also felt that kind of the reason for doing this in the first place was to reflect on and share the positive experiences that schools and districts and educators are having when they're delivering effective supports to students and communities. And we thought that was especially important during these times where it's been such a struggle for so many people. And so to honor the positive impacts that schools are playing in the lives of our students and their families and our communities in California, we wanted to, in a sense, open up the recognition process more broadly to recognize any and all schools that are providing supports and services to students and families during these difficult times. So on the next slide, we have a little bit more. Okay, oh, there we go. Sorry, it's a little slow on my screen. So as a result, we developed an alternative acknowledgement process. And I wanna do a quick shout out to our colleague Esther Rubio at Monterey County Office of Education. She serves on our recognition committee, and as we were having discussions, really kind of posed this idea of community cares type of an idea, which we'll talk about more in a second. But we really wanted to highlight this work. We've heard so many stories just in our personal contacts with colleagues around the state in our areas of these really amazing efforts that teachers, administrators, schools, districts, county offices have been making in order to really check in on students, provide support to them and their families, keep PBIS going remotely, and just really innovating. And so we wanted to just highlight that and give an opportunity for you all to share some of the positive aspects of the work that you've already been engaged in this year. And so part of our goal with this is to not only provide that acknowledgement and that public recognition, but we also want to be able to showcase that work as well with by collecting some of your stories, maybe videos, artifacts. We'll talk more about what types of things you can submit, just to celebrate the collective work that's happening across the state. And we want to use that hopefully at our conference in September and post those on our website as well, just to really call attention to the great work that's being done right now in these difficult times. And with that, I think I'll be turning it over to Cami.
All right, I hope you guys can hear me okay. It seemed like there was a little bit of some confusion in the audio in just a second. So, hey, so there's 4 simple components for the California, thank you, California PBIS Community Cares 2020. Here, it's so simple. It says 4 simple components and there's 5 items here. I totally realize that it's the last part is just the deadline. So you only need your school name and contact. You have that. You need the information. You need to know the contact name for the school and or the organization that you're recognizing. Josh mentioned that a minute ago. We really want to highlight these organizations that have stepped up in the way that they do during the school year or some other way. And we wanted a place to do that. Number 4 is just the image or video or short narrative showing the way that the school and or community came together. And Natalie will show us in just a bit some of the examples that are already out there. We have applications already coming in, and we're going to have all that input before June 7. And the bit.ly is down here at the bottom, but all of those resources, I know that Ginny has posted those in our chat box. And so those are all available as well on our California PBIS site. Let me show you what it looks like in the application, because I can tell you that it's simple, but I do want you to see that it is simple. This is literally what you'll see when you go in to see the application. And so it just really tells you that all the things I just mentioned, that you can go in and take a look there. Next slide, Luke. So you'll just have to select. We still want to know if you are applying or putting this in for early childhood or preschool. If you're a TK-12 or non-alternative, Josh did mention that we've had webinars about a recognition system for this next year, and we really were already going to split it up for early childhood and preschool. They had their own application, TK-12, non-alternative, and we were adding the alternative ed this year. We still want to be able to identify those different areas so that we can celebrate and highlight right alongside you. So it's so simple. Just identify what that is. And then the next part, you'll see this is section 2 of 4. So the next one, seriously, you're just going to enter a very short text in there about your district name, site admin, and site admin email. And the last part there that you have an option is that they partner with the school district. So we have a maximum of 2 organizations that you can highlight for recognition. And so you can apply just as a school and not highlight an organization, but we wanted to give an opportunity for you to highlight another organization that came alongside. So we have a 2 as a maximum, just to make it really simple. And so you can see that on there. They are, it says optional. So we'd really recommend if you had somebody come alongside you, even if it was maybe the nutrition department in your school district, that really does it. That has been across the country. We've seen a lot of videos and people really bringing that to light. So whatever that looks like for you, please show that. And we'll show you the last slide there. And all of the information then that you can get for those, the organization or organizations up to 2 that you're highlighting. And the last part, this is how you'll describe them. So you have different options. You could write a short narrative on what that looks like. We've seen folks just write in some words about what that looks like, words of encouragement they've received from the community and some of the ways that they're supporting the schools, as well as direct links to YouTube videos or what have you. We know that there's all kinds of platforms right now that you're communicating with your students and your students' families. Or a photo. And so we gave those options in there. You select what that is. You add a few words to just let us know so that we can highlight it appropriately. And then we'll go from there. So that there's only some short sections and we'll go from there. All right, I'm gonna tag this on to Natalie, who's gonna show us a few of the examples.
Hello, everyone. So here's a few examples. Again, we're looking at, it could be some type of written blurb. It could be a photos. It could be an artifact. And so what we have here is some teachers created messages to their students. This is on YouTube. I included the link in case you wanted to see that. We also have some pictures that were put together as a collage to send messages to families and to students. So I know there's a lot of that going around and great messages. And again, just inspirations to our students as well as our community and really our families. Next slide, please. Another example has been partnerships with schools. So often, right, we have our businesses that are providing or supporting our schools. And here it's the reverse. We have our schools our schools supporting businesses. And so here they're honoring schools once a week. And encouraging continued support of that business. We have Virtual Spirit Week, which I know is a lot of schools are doing that as well, which is a great way to still connect with families and encourage our students and motivating them. Next slide, please. Here are some examples of different blurbs. So one school had talked about different ways that they're providing recognition virtually. Another school had mentioned how their partnerships with Circle K. Again, we've seen different agencies, different partnerships happening in our community. The last one was really a focus on how teachers are connecting virtually with their students through a mentorship, as well as kitchen staff really stepping up and supporting families during this time by providing lunches. So again, these are just different platforms that can be used, different ways that we can really recognize our community. They're the great things that we're all doing, right, during this really unique time. Next slide, please. So here's the application process of these deadlines. Again, there's the estimated, you see estimated because again, things change and we know that and we recognize that as the committee. But thus far we have our deadline closing on June 30th. Letters of notification going out on August 7th, website posting on August 7th. And then we again will honor you all come our California PBIS at the PBIS conference come September 21st through the 23rd. So again, we're working with you all and know different things that'll come your way or our way. And so we're working on all that together. Next slide, please. And we want to hear from you. So if there's things that maybe you're looking for particularly, I know CPC has done we're working really hard to meet your needs. And so if there's certain content pieces or things that you're more than interested in hearing about, please, we want to hear from you. So that link will be provided for your final feedback, for any feedback that we will make sure we take a look at. And last one, I think, Luke, we do have upcoming upcoming webinars, as well as we'll have some upcoming webinars come in May. So there's a lot of great work. We're trying to really provide as much support as we can. They are free. We like free, right, in education. So please make sure you check out our events page, and there's also that link provided down there at the bottom for you to see as well. So a lot of great things coming your way and looking at different supports. And I think one more slide there. So I know that you guys have been typing away. I'm going to have my team also come back on. If there's anything that we may have missed, or we can look at that chat box and see if we need to address anything.
Somehow we had 2 different dates for a submission deadline. We have one of June 7th and one of June 30th. So I'm not sure where, I can't find where the June 7th date was, but we need to correct that.
I think the most recent conversation on this team and working with the whole team was at the end of June, right? That we felt like we'd be able to get that. So that June 30. We'll adjust that.
We'll update the Google form and the website today to make sure that the correct date is reflected.
Thank you for the grace. We're trying to get this done and out to you guys as soon as possible.
There was a question on submitting more than one style, like a video and a blurb and pictures. I can't remember on the form what we had for that. Sorry. Cammie, do you remember?
I can take a look. I think I had it set up where it was one or the other, but we'll take a look in there to see if we can have folks enter more than one. They will be recognized for the one, and so it was one application for the school as well as the other 2 organizations. So we were trying to make it as streamlined and simple for the recognition committee as well as we're reviewing what that looks like. But I can see where you'd want to put a blurb with your picture, and that is available. So if you put a picture up and put some words with that, that's available as an option. And I'm not sure, I can't see what the question, if that was it, then you can put words. We're actually asking you to put words with your video or picture submission.
That also, I think, addresses another question, which was, are we nominating others for what they are doing or submitting what our own schools are doing, or both? And it can be both. So yeah, you're definitely describing what your own school is doing. But then if you partnered, like the example of the school that partnered with Circle K, you can nominate an organization as well. And that gets to another question I saw as well, which was, what is the motivation? I think I don't see, what are the requirement? Sorry, no, I can't see the exact question, but it's something about what's in it for the schools the person wanted to help motivate them to apply. And so we have a new medal, so to speak, for this year's the PBIS Community Cares medal. We send and correct me, colleagues, if I get this wrong, we send I believe it's a image of that schools can use to post on their website, or even print out onto some sort of display option at the school site, so that you can proudly show that. And then we will be honoring everyone who received the award at our conference in September. And we do a little kind of a thing, I'll call it, I guess, at the conference, that kind of, to just honor everybody who applied, and there are opportunities for teams to take pictures in front of the logo and whatnot. So we'll be doing some events around that at the conference as well.
Josh, I saw somebody in there as well saying their schools are really overwhelmed. Yes, absolutely. We're right there alongside you, working with schools that we're all serving in as well. And that motivation really is to find that positive in what's occurring, and really let's be in a place to help celebrate. So if you're applying for the schools, maybe as a district leader, absolutely, that's what we're looking for as well in some of those traditional recognition applications when we had done it in the past. And so another question that I see in there is, the question is, if we're writing a narrative for a submission, is it a one-page max? It's not even a one-page, Debbie. Feel free to just, you saw some of the examples. Actually, Luke, if you're still driving the slides, can you go back to maybe 3 slides away, previous what Natalie was explaining? It was like a paragraph. On my screen, it shows this big. So those were narratives that were already submitted from schools. And so it really is to highlight the work. We're not looking for an essay. It's really for you to show the shine, right? We want to see what that looks like, and hopefully that's helpful.
There was a little bit of confusion, I think, of when you're in the application. The expectation, or sort of the idea, was for every school or organization to submit, kind of what they're doing. And so, so if you want to submit more than one video, I don't think we're set up for that. But if you had maybe some pictures and a story and a video, there is the option to do that. You can submit within, it's not limited. Just my quick look at it right now. And then somebody had asked if we can create a document that provides answers to some of these questions. So we can definitely commit to do that and put it up on the website for you all. And then within the application, there's an option to nominate an organization that's been instrumental to assisting you in this whole new way we're working with students and families. So so that's an option. You don't have to do that. It's not a separate, it's within the application. You don't have to go out and then go back in to nominate somebody.
Also, there's a question about requirements for alt ed. There are no different requirements for early childhood, the traditional TK-12, or the alt ed, because it really is just, let's apply, let's talk about what's happening in our school, how are we caring in our community, and the opportunity then for the organization. So we, as a recognition committee, have committed to making sure that next year, pending we're back in school, more traditional model, we will absolutely still look at still having what we started off doing with early ed, TK-12, and alt ed, and really honoring that. But for right now, it really is this way that our PBIS community comes together. So also, there's a couple questions about the Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Ginny answered the one about, we don't have an Instagram, but I was about to go on. We do have a Facebook and Twitter, and I think we did have a slide about that if we want to go there, or we can just type it in the chat.
We
and
have
it is
Twitter, but I don't think we have a Facebook. I'll put the
okay.
Twitter handle.
From Luke, who's driving this, and he is also helping with some of that social media account. So the Twitter, right? He's behind the scenes there. June 30 is what I'm seeing on most of those when we were discussing that. Sorry about the confusion as we were readying this. We're trying to gather our recognition committee together. So thank you, Luke. Any other questions in there?
I don't know if we answered this one, but about the screenshot of Twitter communication by schools. Yes, feel free. We've seen a lot of those great things happening on Facebook, recognizing students, recognizing staff. So please share. Again, the idea behind this is really just to show what you're doing in your community with working partnerships. So please share that all.
I have a question for the team. So if people have several things that they want to share, can they submit maybe like a website that shows all those things, or are we asking for, you know, one or two of the things that they really want to highlight?
I would think if I think our original intent was to have one or two things shared. I think if there was a team that was really motivated and wanted to share multiple items, I think sharing a link to a Google folder, making sure you get the permission set so that we can view it outside your organization would work for that. I don't believe the form itself will allow multiple uploads. So I think you would use the link feature in there and then submit a link to a folder if you really want to do that.
There's another question, is there a length limit for videos? And there is not. So again, it's just how creative you want to be.
And I think that goes along though, Natalie, with making sure there's a link through YouTube on there, because I do believe there's a limit if you try to just upload it as like a video from your computer onto the application. But if it's turned into a link online, that works. Any other questions?
There was a question around this webinar being posted. We will post a link to the recorded webinar on our website, www.pbisca.org. Under the recognition, or excuse me, under the events tab are all the webinars. Okay, and I'm seeing that the link for the slides is not working, so we'll update that as well.
Perfect.
I know we're getting some questions on June 30th versus June 6th. I think we will post that on the website as well, unless anybody remembers specifically, was there a determination made on that? All right, we'll get it posted.
I think we need to say it's June 30th because that's what's been posted on the website.
Right.
We can make an executive decision, I think.
Yeah.
4 of us, 5 of us.
There was a lot of conversation around that. So sorry to confuse everybody. Thank you guys, everybody that's on this call too, for the grace. Even at the beginning, I saw somebody asked, I was trying to reply. They're trying to get on when one of the accounts has under 100. And thank you for the grace. Thank you for signing on to these webinars. We're being flexible and trying to meet those needs as well. So thank you for the grace around all of this. That's really helpful. So here we go. Apply for your school sites in your community. Thank you guys so much.
All right, I think with that, then we'll all say thank you, and we'll go ahead and sign off, and we should have some updates posted before the end of the day here. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.